like to call the work session order for December 8th, 2025. Feedback. City Clerk, please read the roll.
Let the record reflect that all members are present. Councilwoman Gillis, can you confirm you're online?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gillis, can you hear us?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. We have one item on the agenda tonight. I would like to remind council that staff will be pausing every so often to answer any question. The item is to receive information on the invitation to join the Maricopa Home Consortium. Go ahead and introduce yourself, and away we go.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Rachel Garcia, Deputy City Manager. I am pleased this evening to introduce Christina Panatescu, who is our Grants and Community Partnerships Program Manager. She will be presenting on the invitation for the City of Goodyear to join the Home Consortium, which she'll share more about shortly. This is an opportunity for us to align with Goodyear's strategic plan action item for fiscal year 27, and that is for our housing diversity strategy. Last month, Council heard an opportunity for us to update our zoning ordinance, and this is just yet another opportunity for us to address that fiscal year 27 action item. I will turn it over to Christina, and she will share more shortly.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Council. As Deputy City Manager Rachel Garcia just mentioned, I am here to introduce this invitation from the Maricopa County Home Consortium for Goodyear to join. So you may wonder, what is HOME and what is the consortium? So HOME is a federal grant under HUD, similar to CDBG, but separate from it, to fund housing activities for low and moderate income households. The consortium is how the city comes into the partnership, works as a region to talk about housing affordability priorities, and then has an opportunity to make informed decisions to have the greatest impact utilizing their allotment of home funds. The most important part, if you're not a part of the consortium, a city our size, you cannot access the grant dollars. So what can those grant dollars be spent on? They can be spent on things like the development of housing for rent or purchase by income eligible households. They can be spent on home purchase assistance, like down payment assistance, for example. It can be spent on rental assistance. It can be spent on housing rehabilitation for existing homeowners, but in a different way than the previous city pilot program executed that. Strategic priority for housing diversity to evaluate development incentives for custom homes in targeted areas affordable. Work with the county and the rest of the consortium members to join via a 3-year agreement. We would have a representative, staff representative participate in consortium meetings. The city would be fiscally responsible for our pro rata home allocation, which we estimate to be around $100,000. And we would be responsible for identifying or coordinating a 25% non-federal match, which is estimated at around $25,000 and can be fulfilled by a third party through a subrecipient agreement or in kind from a contractor, for example. So the next steps, if you were interested, would be to we'll come back next week with a resolution for you to join the consortium. The county will work with its existing members and figure out if they can amend the existing IGA that the other members have already signed, or if they need to do a new one. And then it will go through fiscal year 2030. And that needs to all get certified by the state. And when we do our consolidated plan for CDBG, we will also be planning for how these funds will be used. And all of that will be submitted to HUD at the same time, coordinated through the county, but produced by us. And so with that information combined with what was in the council action report, I will turn it over to you for discussion and questions.
First, we'll see if Councilwoman Gillis has any questions.
No.
Okay, now open it up here. Anybody? Let's start here and work around. Go ahead.
Yeah, appreciate it, Mayor. Just very basic, obviously federal dollars, federal strings. What's kind of, what is the cost to us, if anything? What is our risk? And just kind of, what's the give and take here?
Great questions. The cost to us is staff time, arguably existing staff time, rolled into what we're already doing with the CDBG planning and administration, arguably. The risk to us is that as a part of the consortium, all consortium members share the risk for people spending the funding in a timely manner, which is why the consortium cares so deeply about who they let in and why we had to check with them before coming to you to make sure that they had confidence in my demonstrated performance with CDBG and the city's demonstrated performance to date. And if, for example, we weren't able to come up with a project or weren't spending our funding quickly enough, we could make a decision to share it with another participating jurisdiction who would be able to. So again, that's kind of also how it, while it's a risk, it's also an advantage to us, you might say. Okay.
I just see on here, consortium members include Avondale, Chandler, Gilbert, Glendale, Peoria, Surprise, Tempe. So that, it makes sense to me. I was just curious on the risk, what they want, what does it cost, what's our risk? Aside from that, I'm good.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it's kind of the same question. So we're gonna get 100,000, but we gotta give 25% of that, which we think will be covered by an outside potential agency. But we gotta use, okay, is that true?
Technically, it's even less, but to use easy math, 25,000 is the high end. Matt, there's a requirement for administrative expenses that will go out of the grant allocation to the county.
I see the 5%.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then that leaves us, I believe, 5 that we can apply towards our own administration of this as well. That is not subject to a match, and therefore it's also not eligible for a match. So then minus whatever it is that we spend from the grant on administration times 0.25 is what another non-federal entity has to provide. And so if, for example, we had a subrecipient who did first-time homebuyer assistance with those resources, they could count their staff time delivering the program, screening for eligibility towards the match, and then the city would not have to pay, would not be paying for that match part.
Okay. And this renews every 5 years? You said 2030 is when it expires?
It's every 3 years,
3 years.
the agreement. But it also doesn't mean we would have to take our funds every year. So we'd be participating in the consortium, if we didn't have something we wanted to spend it on, or we hadn't made our way through our first allocation as much as we would have liked by the time we're planning for the second one, we could leave it for the other members in the consortium to do something with, or we could partner with them as well to collaborate on something and demonstrate Goodyear's commitment to affordability in the West Valley.
And if it increased, could we get a larger amount? Could they give us $1 million and then we gotta do 25% of that?
Yes,
We gotta match. I'm just curious if we're gonna
but it would only be if we asked
accept
for
that larger
Yeah,
amount.
right.
Okay. So make sure we're not getting into something that we didn't realize, oh, 250,000 now versus 25,000. Okay. And then it has to be, you said it's for certain areas, but it has to be for lower income, right? Affordable, lower income. It's not for executive housing or
It's
special
not.
districts. It's only for like CBG type
It's,
requirements-ish.
yes. Specifically, if it's for rental, it's for 50 to 60% of area median income. And if it is for a purchase, it's for 80% of area median income. Although this is being reviewed at the federal level and can change.
Okay. And then is the consortium managing who the participants are of the program are, or is that you? So if 4 residents, for example, is 4 renters need assistance, do they go through the city of Goodyear and you got to vet that they meet all those criteria and you choose who gets that money for the year or 3 years or 4 years? I think you
If
said.
it would be the city's responsibility to identify who was doing the eligibility screening. If we decided to do it in-house and use the Goodyear Cares Navigator, that's a possibility. We could also completely outsource it if an agency like, I can't remember what Foundation for Senior Living is called now, or a New
Yana,
Leaf.
Yana.
There are several entities throughout the valley who administer these dollars for other cities.
Okay, anything if it's pretty good with the CDBG monies that you already manage already, it shouldn't be that much
Yeah.
more time.
Right,
I hope.
it's all
Yeah.
goes in the same report, same timeline.
Okay, yeah, I think it's a good thing, a good grant to get, so if it helps out, it's only, I mean, it's $100,000, so that can go fairly quick, so.
Yeah.
But I think it's, I think it'd be fine to be in that consortium, so, thank you. That's all the question I had.
Beckles?
So, yeah, I think this is a good project for us to take a look at and be involved in. And you said that basically, when it comes to deciding which program, it's going to be up to the city to make that decision.
Yes, it has to be an eligible use, but it will be the city's decision, just like we decide how to use our CDBG funds.
Right.
And it will happen around the same time.
Okay, thank you.
Laura?
I think this is a great thing to be a part of, and it seems like $100,000 is a good starter amount, so thank you very much.
Wally?
Okay, I've got a couple of questions.
You're
Maybe not.
on.
I've got a couple of questions. Okay, so do we know how much the grant's going to be every year, or is it like CBDG, it's a crapshoot, you have to wait till the feds tell us how much they're gonna get, and then it's divided equally between the cities, so do all cities get equal amount of money?
No, everything is a yes, except for it's not divided equally. It's a prorated based on factors established by HUD.
What does that mean?
Like
To Goodyear.
It's a lot of math, but that I don't literally
Yeah.
know, but it has to do with the percent of your population that's low or moderate income, and the need in that sense.
Okay, I was gonna say historically, it's been reported that we don't have a huge number of low income, although we do have them. Because when we try for federal grants, we're told we don't have enough to qualify for it. So if someone gets assistance for rent, is it available every month from then thereafter, or is this a one-time rental assistance, or how does this work? And how do we keep track that they're not using it for something else?
Yeah, there are different programs, so to get into the specifics, I'd have to come back to you with that information when we're talking about how we'd like to invest the funds. But there is tenant-based rental assistance that goes for a period of time, helping to offset the ongoing cost of rent, but there is a number of years that it is capped at. I would say that's like the highest investment in an individual use of the funds, rather than like helping a developer develop or renovate something for low income rental. Or sometimes it can be used for move-in costs. That might be a lesser example.
Yeah, well, I was specifically not talking about developers, because I don't want to help developers particularly, because they're making money anyway. It's the residents that need the assistance. So if someone is a renter, and I'm always on Nextdoor every day seeing, I need help with my rent.
Right.
Can somebody step up? Who do I call? What do I do? We tell them, call the navigator, this, that, and the other, get a hold of Avondale Resource Center. So I just want to know, are you going to be able to track that? And are we going to have additional staff to do this? Is this going to be very time consuming?
It can be time consuming, the application process.
Yeah, are you going to be the one selecting them?
I don't think that we know that part yet, because it would depend on if we subcontracted with a New Leaf, for example, to do the eligibility and administer the
Okay,
program.
well, can we have some of these answers before we actually have to vote for this thing?
For
I mean, I'm very
spending it,
familiar with the
yes.
home consortium, and I'm involved in one of the consortiums through area agency already, and I know how it works. I just want to make sure we realize what we're getting into. It's not free
Yes.
money and
No.
we just pass it out like it's free money, so.
Yes, for sure, when we come back to you, if we join the consortium, when we come back to you with now we know how much money we have, how do
Okay.
you want to spend it? We will explain to you
Okay.
some suggestions.
All right, now are you going to be able to keep the CBDG fund separate from this fund, because we won't be funding the same people with each of these funds?
No,
Now, can we
correct.
use CBDG funds to do exactly what you're asking us to do now? Can we use it for rental assistance, and can we use it for low-income folks to do things?
Sometimes, but with different criteria
Okay,
and different requirements associated with it.
okay, that's all my questions, thank you.
I think this is a great idea, and you got some great questions here from the dais. My focus, I think it's real important, somehow we get first-time home buyers, owner-occupied housing, because I'm a firm believer, if they don't get in the game long-term, it's not in their best interest. That's how you tend to build wealth, is through home ownership. So if we can do any way to help somebody get started in that vein, I would really appreciate it. So with that, I don't see any other further questions. Then with that, it's for the business here. This one's over.
Thank you.
Now, it takes, what do you need, about 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes to move it over to the council chambers?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, I'll see you over there.
Councilwoman Gillis, if you can please stay on the line.
Okay.
Yep.